What if I told you that the key to unlocking a woman's interest lies in your ability to step back? Picture this: you've been chasing her for weeks, putting in every effort to win her over, but then, just like that, you disappear. No calls, no messages, nothing. What happens next is nothing short of astounding. In today's video, we're diving deep into the psychology of attraction through the lens of Stoicism. By pulling back your attention, you're not just changing the game. You're transforming the entire narrative of your interactions. This isn't merely about dating. It's about harnessing the power of self-control and strategic detachment. When you stop running after women, you create a remarkable shift that can ignite her curiosity and awaken her primal instincts of competition. Get ready to explore the depths of the female mind as we reveal secrets that will not only captivate her, but also transform your approach to dating forever. Are you prepared to become the man she can't stop thinking about? Let's jump in, and remember, if you find this content valuable, please like and subscribe for more insights that will elevate your dating life. She becomes intrigued. Imagine this. You've been chasing her like a kid chasing after a dream. You're always the one reaching out, always the first to initiate, always making yourself available. Every morning, you send that text, and you make sure you're in places where she might be, hoping she'll notice you. But then, one day, you just stop. No more good morning messages, no more trying to run into her by accident. It's as if you've disappeared from her world. Suddenly, she's left with nothing but silence. Now, what do you think will happen? Next, this is where the dynamic changes completely. By pulling away, you're breaking the usual pattern she's gotten so used to. Suddenly, her mind is racing. What just happened? Why did he stop? You've become a mystery, something unsolved that she can't quite figure out. And this, my friends, is where intrigue begins to take hold. This shift aligns perfectly with the teachings of Stoicism. Instead of pushing for control, you allow things to unfold naturally without being desperate for a specific outcome. Human nature is inherently curious, especially when something doesn't go as expected. When you stop chasing and stop giving her all your energy, she starts to wonder about you. She might glance at her phone, checking if she missed a message, or hear your name in conversations and listen a little closer, wondering what you're up to. Suddenly, the balance has shifted, and you're no longer the one in pursuit. She's the one left wondering where you've gone, what you're doing, and why you're no longer seeking her attention. Think about it. The more you chase someone, the more they feel they're in control. You hand them all the power, but when you pull back and stop actively seeking validation, something incredible happens. You regain your power. Now she's thinking about you more, not because you're chasing her, but because your absence has created a space for her curiosity to grow. It's in that space where she begins to wonder if she missed something important, if she somehow lost your interest, or if you've moved on to something or someone else. This, in itself, reflects Stoic wisdom. Chasing after someone, constantly seeking their approval, is a form of attachment. But when you pull away and detach yourself from needing her attention, you not only free yourself from the anxiety of pursuit, but you also become more attractive. In the process, your confidence and self-assuredness shine through because you're no longer dependent on her validation to feel secure in who you are. Here's the real kicker. People are drawn to what they can't easily have. When you stop chasing her and become that unsolved mystery, she finds herself thinking about you more and more. It's not because you're playing mind games. It's because you've become something intriguing, something that makes her wonder. By simply stepping back and letting her curiosity fill the gaps, you've taken control of the narrative. Before long, she'll be the one chasing you, trying to figure out why she can't stop thinking about you. That's how you turn the tables without lifting a finger. You become the puzzle she wants to solve, the mystery she can't quite shake. By not needing her, you become the man she's suddenly drawn to. The more you focus on yourself and your own peace of mind, the more magnetic you become. she starts to reflect. Here's something intriguing. When you step back, something powerful begins to unfold in her mind. Your absence doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, it becomes the catalyst for her to reflect on her behavior in ways she may have never considered before. It's as though you've held up a mirror, and for the first time, she's forced to see herself through a different lens. Suddenly, she starts to question every little detail. Was she too dismissive when she cancelled plans? Did her responses seem uninterested? Was her laughter at your jokes just a little too forced? She starts to wonder if her behavior was part of the reason. You pulled away. This is where it gets interesting. Her mind becomes a courtroom, with her as both the defendant and the judge. She revisits conversations, examines every text, and dissects past interactions, looking for clues. Did she say something wrong? Was her attitude too cold? It's not just a passing thought. It's a deep, introspective process where she begins to analyze herself from a perspective she hadn't before. She's digging through the archives of your relationship, and in doing so, she's forced to take a hard look at her actions, her attitude, and even her emotional availability. But why does this happen? It's because your absence has created a void, a silence where once there was constant pursuit. This void makes her question not just the relationship but herself. And here's where the wisdom of Stoicism comes in. By stepping back, you're practicing emotional control and detachment, key principles of Stoicism. Instead of reacting to her behavior by chasing or trying to fix things, you've chosen to focus on yourself. You're not driven by the need for approval or validation. As Epictetus said, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. You've chosen not to chase, but to let her come to her own realizations. This shift often leads her to a surprising conclusion: self-improvement. She starts to see that she may not have been as engaged as she should have been, or that she's taken your interest for granted. Perhaps she realizes she didn't put in the effort, and now, with the space you've given her, she begins to make changes. This reflection allows her to grow and become more aware of how she's treating you and others. And that's the beauty of Stoicism in relationships. You're allowing her to come to these conclusions on her own, without needing to manipulate or force any outcome. While she's going through this process, you're out there living your best life, focusing on your growth and goals. You're not sitting around waiting for her to come back. You're embodying the Stoic ideal of resilience, moving forward regardless of the outcome. This is a powerful position to be in. You've mastered the art of detachment and self-control, knowing that your value doesn't come from her attention, but from within yourself. When you finally decide to re-enter the picture, you'll likely find that she's gone through a transformation. She's more engaged, more appreciative, and perhaps even more drawn to you than ever before. Why? Because your absence allowed her the space to reflect and recognize what she might be missing. It's a win-win situation. You've both grown, you've both improved, and now the dynamic has shifted in your favor. She recognizes her feelings. Imagine you've been running in circles, trying to catch someone's attention, pouring effort into every conversation, every gesture, every moment. But then you stop, not out of frustration or defeat, but because you've come to a powerful realization rooted deeply in Stoic wisdom. By no longer chasing, you've given her something she didn't expect: the space to truly think about you. This is where everything changes. It's like a shift in the air, an almost imperceptible difference. Suddenly you're not there as often. Your attention isn't always at her disposal, and just like that, the dynamic flips. When you step back, it's as though you've triggered a spark in her mind, a light she didn't know existed. She begins to feel something she hadn't felt before, a recognition of her own emotions that had been hidden beneath the surface. This concept ties directly to Stoicism, which teaches us to let go of what we cannot control and focus on our inner world, our own actions, our own behavior. When you stop pursuing, you're no longer clinging to an external outcome, such as her reactions or attention. Instead, you focus on yourself, cultivating your inner peace, your strength, your self-worth. In doing so, you allow her to reflect on what she truly feels for you. When you were always present, texting, calling, making plans, there was no need for her to think about what your presence meant to her. She may have even taken it for granted. But now, in your absence, a void appears. Nature despises emptiness. She starts to notice the things she had overlooked, those small moments when your words made her smile, the comfort she felt knowing you were just a message away, the way your laughter filled the room. Each of these moments becomes a piece of the puzzle, a part of the story that she's now reflecting on. The beauty of this realization is that it's entirely self-driven. She's not being told how to feel or being coerced into admitting her feelings for you. She's coming to these conclusions all on her own. And there's something incredibly powerful about that, about realizing she misses you without any prompting from you to do so. The absence you've created isn't just a lack of interaction, it's an invitation for her to explore her emotions. It's a journey of self-discovery, and as she takes that journey, she may find herself questioning what she truly wants. Does she value the connection you had? Is she willing to take steps to rekindle that spark? These are profound questions that require time and space to answer. Evaluating your worth when you pull away and stop seeking her validation, a fascinating transformation takes place. You begin to shine like a rare treasure, suddenly being noticed and appreciated in a way you may not have experienced before. In the past, your constant presence may have led her to overlook your qualities or take them for granted. But now, your absence highlights everything you brought to her life, qualities she may have previously dismissed. This isn't just about her suddenly noticing you, it's about you reclaiming your sense of self-worth. By stepping back, you're practicing the Stoic principle of valuing yourself without attaching your happiness to her approval. You take control of your narrative, focusing on your own happiness and growth. As you immerse yourself in your passions, your interests, and your goals, she starts to recognize the significance of your presence. Your absence becomes more than just silence. It becomes a reflection of your strength and independence. You've chosen to prioritize yourself, and that's an attractive quality. In the past, you may have felt pressure to chase her, to prove your worth through constant communication and attention. But by stepping back, you demonstrate that you're not defined by her interest. You reclaim your power, and she begins to see you not as someone who's desperate for her attention, but as someone who respects himself enough to know his value. As you move forward, focusing on your own life and well-being, she starts to miss the moments you shared. She recognizes that you were there, cheering her on, supporting her dreams, and adding a certain quality to her life that she now realizes was significant. This acknowledgement becomes a pivotal moment for both of you as she begins to appreciate you, not because you begged for her attention, but because you chose to step away and let her feel the void you left behind. 5. Increased attraction. Let's be honest, how many times have you heard the phrase, "Absence makes the heart grow fonder"? It's a cliché for a reason, but it goes much deeper than that. It creates intrigue and elevates your value. When you shift your focus from chasing her to investing in your own growth, you begin to exude an aura of self-respect and inner peace, qualities that are inherently attractive. She starts to notice that you're no longer constantly reaching out. The unexpected silence catches her off guard. This absence creates a void, and in that void her attraction begins to blossom. She wonders what you're doing, who you're spending time with, and why you're not trying to engage her like before. You've crafted a narrative where she begins to appreciate your qualities anew. You're no longer seeking her approval. Instead, you're focused on your journey, your goals, and your happiness. This quiet confidence is magnetic. She may find herself daydreaming about you, reminiscing about the moments you shared, and feeling a sense of longing that she didn't anticipate. In the back of her mind, the idea that you might be moving on without her starts to take shape. She questions whether she's lost something valuable. You've created an environment where she can't help but realize that you were an essential part of her life, and the realization stirs feelings she may have pushed aside previously. You become the person she starts to idealize, someone who commands respect, someone who is not easily available, and someone who is focused on his own path. This transformation is not an overnight phenomenon. It's a gradual unfolding that occurs as she begins to miss the qualities you brought into her life. Her priorities. Realign in relationships. The delicate dance of pursuit often leads to an imbalance of priorities. When you're always present, it can be easy for her to overlook the little things that make you special, but once you pull away, that silence makes her think. She starts to reflect on what she misses and why she didn't value it before. This change isn't merely psychological. It's a practical demonstration of stoic wisdom, letting go of what you cannot control. By focusing on yourself and not attaching your happiness to her actions, you reclaim your power. You give her the opportunity to realign her priorities, and that's a gift in itself. When her priorities start to include you again, it's a powerful sign that she values your presence. This wouldn't have happened if you hadn't taken that step back. You're allowing her to realize the importance of your connection, and as she evaluates her feelings, she may also begin to prioritize the relationship. This is the beauty of Stoic philosophy in action. By trusting the process and letting go of the need to control the outcome, you create a space for her to understand her feelings. As she reassesses her priorities, she begins to acknowledge the significance of the bond you two shared. In this journey, she may even come to the conclusion that she wants to invest in the relationship more actively. This is a profound transformation, and it's only possible because you allowed her the space to recognize your worth without the pressure of your constant presence. The fear of losing. Let's talk about fear. The fear of losing someone who has become an integral part of her life. The moment you stop chasing her, everything changes. She no longer has the certainty of your constant pursuit, flipping the script entirely. What was once a game of trying to win your attention transforms into something deeper, something more profound. With your absence, she feels that shift. You've created a sense of mystery, making her question what she might lose. This newfound uncertainty can trigger powerful emotions. Fear of losing someone who brought joy and support to her life. As she grapples with this realization, she starts to value the connection you had in a way she may not have before. This shift is the essence of Stoicism in action. By controlling your own reactions and focusing on what you can control, you create an environment where she begins to recognize her feelings for you. But here's the thing. When fear sets in, it often leads to a desire for clarity. She may start to reach out, to check in, to rekindle that connection. And this is where your strategic withdrawal pays off. You've created a space for her to reflect and recognize what she truly wants. And now she's motivated to reach out. So remember, sometimes the best way to move forward in relationships is to step back and trust that what's meant for you will find its way. You've empowered her to reflect, reevaluate, and realize what she truly wants. In doing so, you've not only increased her interest, but also cultivated a stronger bond based on mutual recognition and appreciation. By applying these principles of detachment and self-awareness, you position yourself as someone who embodies the wisdom of Stoicism. You're not just chasing after fleeting emotions. You're engaging in a deeper, more meaningful journey of connection and understanding. In the end, the greatest relationships are built on a foundation of mutual respect, emotional awareness, and the freedom to choose one another without the pressure of expectation.